Hi there. So you've secured your first appointment as an independent director, but you're not aware of the kind of meetings that happen in a company and how you should prepare for them. Let me quickly walk you through how you can prepare for your first board meeting or committee meeting in a company, and we'll get started. So the first thing I want to show you is the different kinds of meetings you'll be attending in a company. All right. So the first kind of meeting you'll be attending is a shareholders meeting, which is of two types: AGM, annual general meeting, and EGM, extraordinary general meeting. So shareholders are supposed to meet at least once a year mandatorily. The mandatory meeting is called AGM. And if there is a requirement for a shareholders meeting apart from the mandatory one, it's called as an EGM, extraordinary general meeting. Next up, we've got board meetings. The board of directors meet 4 times a year mandatorily. That's mandated under law. They can obviously meet more than 4 times a year, but 4 times is the minimum, and you have to be there in those as well. The third comes committee meetings. A company has a bunch of committees, all right. Audit committee, nomination remuneration committee, CSR committee, ESG committee, risk assessment committee, etc. etc. All these committee meetings also require your presence, and you have a minimum of two meetings per committee per year. Okay. Except for audit committee, which is mandated to meet at least 4 times a year. Next up, you and your other independent directors have a separate meeting within yourselves to assess the performance of the non-independent directors. That's the fourth kind of meeting, annual meeting of independent directors. All right. So these are the 4 meetings you need to be aware of and present in. I've got a list of 10 things you need to keep in mind, starting off with an updated MOA, which is the Memorandum of Association, and AOA, which is the Articles of Association of the company. So these two documents are very important for a company. It's formed at the time of incorporation, and it has all the details about the company, both internally and how they perform externally. All right. These two things are to be read and understood. Second, you need to understand the company's financial health, right? So you take the last year's financial report, annual report, etc. Annual report is nothing but financial statements along with the audit report and along with the board of directors report. All three documents together is what an annual report is. Okay. So you need to get these two documents and understand them. Next up, if the shareholders meeting is happening because of certain corporate actions like mergers and amalgamations, restructuring. So these are all major corporate actions which require the approval of shareholders before it happens. So you need to understand about the corporate actions before you attend these shareholder meetings. Next, you need to understand the minutes of the previous board meeting. So you will know what decisions were made in the previous meeting and how it corresponds to whatever it is that you're discussing right now. Okay. Next, financing arrangements of the company and whether the company has accurately reflected any updates to the changes. So this can be understood easily by reading the reading the financials. All these sound like a huge deal, but trust me, it's very doable, very easy. All right. Next, if the company has any pending litigations, especially with government regulators like GST authorities, income tax authorities, SEBI, whatever it is, you need to understand those litigations as well. Next up, if the company has undertaken any CSR activities, which is mandatory under Companies Act. CSR is nothing but corporate social responsibility. So the idea behind having CSR is that the company is flourishing because of the people around it. So the company has to give back to the society one way or the other. And Companies Act mandates every company that reaches a certain threshold spends at least 2% of their last 3 years' average profit. That is what CSR is. And then ESG initiatives, environment, social, and governance initiatives that the company has taken, and how were they commenced, when were they commenced, etc. etc. Then you need to understand related party transactions. So this specific concept in itself is a huge, vast thing to explain. But to just give you a background, related party transactions are nothing but the transactions the company has with its group companies, with its directors, or with the directors' relatives, to anyone that's related to the company. Okay. Now, who becomes a relative? That's explained in great detail in the Act. We'll be talking about it in the boot camp. But for now, just understand anyone and everyone that's related to the company, and any transactions with these relatives are heavily monitored under law. Cool. Next, you understand the executive compensation structure, meaning Companies Act has a certain ceiling limit for the amount of remuneration a director can draw. Okay. So if it's an executive director, they have a certain percent of the net profits they can draw from. If it's a non-executive director, then they have a certain percentage of, net profit share. So you need to make sure that the remuneration these people are drawing is within those limits. How will you find it out? Through the financials, of course. The last thing you need to understand is employee benefit plans. So companies have ESOP schemes, ESPS schemes. All these are employment benefit schemes. Like they give either equity to their employees at a discounted price, or they give some other sort of compensation to their employees for performing really good. So you need to understand those as well. Now, your job as an independent director is not to just say yes to everything the company is doing. All right. Obviously, if they're doing great things, then good to go. But if you find any red flags at all, you have the liberty to question the board of directors. All right. Let me give you a few examples of the situations you can question in, because we can't just keep pointing out questions randomly, arbitrarily, without any base and be a nuisance to the board, right? So we have to understand what are the actual red flags and how to go about it as well. So the first situation is, let's say a company has a very profitable business unit. And let's say this specific unit is being sold to a relative of one of the directors. Could this be a red flag? Why are they selling such a profitable unit which can rake in so much revenue for the company to the relatives? There might be a logical reason behind it. Maybe the company wants to pay off its loans. Maybe the company wants to reduce its operational costs, which is why it's shutting down a specific profitable unit. But you will only understand whether or not it's making sense after you ask the question. So this is one situation you can pose a question. The second situation is when a company introduces a new product or a service. So you can ask them questions like, why do you think it will pierce the market? Why do you think it's different from the other existing similar products in the market? Or if the product is already launched and it's not doing as great as its competitors, you can bring that up as well, you know. You can say, why is X person's product, which is similar to our product, functioning so well, but ours is not that great, or it's not up to the mark, etc., etc. So these are different kinds of questions you can pose about a product or a new service. The third thing you can question about is the executive's compensation structure. Now, let's say the company is bringing in a new director who's getting paid 3 times more than the managing director. Now, this looks really unfair, right? But when you ask questions like, why is this stark difference in payment, and why is the managing director getting paid less, etc., etc., you'll understand. Maybe there is a different light to it. Maybe the managing director is drawing a lesser salary because he's got equity in the company, or he's got some other sort of a compensation structure which is, actually fair for what he's doing with the company. So when you ask questions, you get more clarity. But the thing is, you need to know when to ask these questions, which is why I'm explaining all these things. You can't just keep asking questions even when the company is doing everything right. The next thing you can question about is the growth strategy of the company. Like, how is the company planning to grow itself, grow its business, product, services, sales, etc., etc. You can speak about that, or any other financial metric for that matter. And then you can speak about the risk management policies of your company. So risk management is a very important aspect. It basically helps you gauge the potential risks your business might face, and it will also give you mitigation measures, like how can you either have a solution for it or completely avoid it. Okay, so you can question them about that. You can suggest new policies, etc., etc. So I hope this gave you an insight as to how you can prepare yourself for your first board or committee meeting. It's completely all right if you're not getting a full sense of things right now. This is just a preview, and you guys can keep asking your questions here or at the boot camp. And you guys can keep asking your questions here or at the boot camp. And we will see you in the next one.